Hi everyone! Autumn is my favorite season and I'm telling you, I just cannot wait to leave Lima and to go back to Switzerland to really enjoy the autumnal atmosphere. And so in the meantime, I made myself a fall TBR that I'm going to share with you today. So I don't know about you, but for me, autumn means cozy evenings, long cold nights, hot tea and chocolate, a fireplace, and of course, creepy and gothic reads. So I'm not much of a mood reader really, but when it comes to autumn, I do like to read unsettling gothic books. So here is my TBR. I picked a mix of gothic classics, modern horror, atmospheric stories, and of course some dark fantasy and thrillers. All of them I believe are perfect for autumn nights. So let's dive in. So let's make a list of different genres. First of all, we have the creepy and gothic vibes. And so the first book that I want to discover in this category is We Have Always Lived in a Castle by Shirley Jackson. This will be my first read of the author, and this is a gothic classic. In this story, we follow two sisters that live isolated in their big family house after most of their relatives were poisoned. Their life is quiet until a cousin arrives and threatens to disturb their routine. I cannot wait to discover finally the author. I've obviously seen the Netflix adaptation of the book The Haunting of Hill House, and I really loved it. I thought it was really creepy and eerie, and it got me scared. So I cannot wait to discover the writing of the author through her book. Another gothic classic, which I think is probably the most famous of the 20th century, probably, is Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. Here we follow a young woman that marries a rich widower and she goes to live in his estate. But the shadow of his first wife, Rebecca, still dominates the house. So apparently, from what I've gathered, the house is haunted by her memory. So the premise is kind of a haunted house. I don't know if it's actually haunted or if it's just her memory that is everywhere. I'm not sure. But for sure, I will find a mysterious atmosphere, I believe. And I think that is perfect for the season. Next, we have House of Hunger by Alexis Henderson. So this one seems much bloodier and much darker. You can see the cover already. It's about a young poor woman that agrees to become a blood maid for a wealthy noblewoman. So a blood maid is someone who gives willingly her blood in exchange for a life of luxury and pension. So I wonder if this is about vampires. I'm not so sure, but I do believe that this book feels perfect for the Halloween season. I really want to discover another novel by Rachel Gillig, and it is The Night and the Moth. I really enjoyed the duology One Dark Window and Two Twisted Crowns by the author, and I really love the writing. It is eerie, atmospheric, and it was really perfect for autumn. In this novel, The Night and the Moth, we follow Sybil, a young diviner, and apparently she serves a cathedral by dreaming visions of ancient gods. But one day her sisters start to vanish, and so she's forced to team up with a cursed knight. I believe that the atmosphere will really fit with the season once again, with mist and dark forests and visions. I mean, it seems gothic really. And it also promises a gothic romance. So I can't wait to read this one. I also want to discover House of Hollow by Crystal Sutherland. This novel is a modern gothic fairy tale and it's YA. But I've heard that it doesn't feel YA at all. That's why I'm interested in this one. The story follows three sisters who disappeared as children, and they came back months later, but they came back completely changed. Their hair is white, their eyes are black, and they have an unsettling beauty. And then, years later, one of them goes missing again. So apparently, from what I've heard, it is very dark and gothic, and I've only heard good things about this book, so I really want to discover it, even if it's technically YA. But I want to give it a try. And last but not least, in this category of gothic and creepy books, we have Slewfoot by Brom. This one seems perfect for the season, Halloween season especially, I think, because look at the illustration made by the author, and it is a tale of bewitchery. This story is set in 1666 in New England, and it combines folk horror with witch trials. It's about a young widow accused of witchcraft who encounters a forest spirit. Here we are talking about witch hunts and old myth, so it seems really interesting, and I just love the illustration of the book, the vibe that I get from it already just by looking at the illustrations. And also, I've only heard good comments about this one. Look at this. So I'm hoping I'm gonna get scared with this one. We'll see. Next on my TBR, we have a list called Horror and Creepy Thrillers. And in this list, I want to read The Only Good Indians by Stephen Graham Jones. And I'm very excited because this is an author I want to discover since a while now, but I haven't read any of his books yet, so I really want to discover him with this one. The story follows 4 Native American men who are haunted by something terrible that they've done in their past. Then an elk-headed spirit comes back to take revenge, and one by one their lives start to fall apart. I'm really curious about this one. It seems weird, and I don't know if it's scary, but definitely creepy, I think. It's gonna be my first read by the author. Then we have In the Woods by Tana French. This one is more of a psychological thriller, I think, with gothic undertones. Here we follow a detective investigating the murder of a young girl in a small Irish town. The crime happened right next to the same woods where, as a child, he was found alone after his friends mysteriously disappeared. This detective doesn't remember what happened back then, but the case forces him to face the past. It seems really interesting, and I love psychological thrillers. Now we have atmospheric and reflective reads. And in this category, I want to read Into the Forest by Jean Hegland. This is a post-apocalyptic, but from what I've heard, also a quiet novel. So we follow 2 sisters that live in a remote cabin after society collapses, and well, they must survive on their own. They lost their parents, so they're really on their own, and they're quite young, I believe they are 17 and 18 years old only. So clearly here the theme is survival in nature, isolation. To me it seems like the perfect unsettling read for autumn. Next we have All the Colors of the Dark by Chris Whitaker. This is a mysterious novel with small town vibes. It is set in small town Missouri in the 1970s. A boy named Patch disappears after trying to save a girl from being abducted. But then, months later, he reappears, and it's just the beginning of the whole story. So I've heard mixed reviews about this one. I've heard very good reviews, and I've heard people They said it's quite long. I'm not sure about this one, but I want to give it a try. Now let's talk about dark fantasy and thrillers. So for dark fantasy, I want to read a novel, a trilogy, the first book of the trilogy, which is Nevernight by J. Kristoff. I am a fan of J. Kristoff. I absolutely loved Empire of the Vampire. For me, it was a 5-star read. The second book as well was a 5-star read, and I cannot wait for the third one. And so I want to discover, in the meantime, another trilogy of him, and it is Nevernight. Here we are in a dark fantasy full of blood and assassins, and we're gonna follow a young woman who is named Mia. Mia, she wants revenge for her family's murder. So she joins a school for killers. I don't know much more about this novel, but knowing J. Kristoff, I'm pretty sure that it's gonna be very bloody, violent, and also sarcastic. And as I said, I just love the author, so I want to discover more of his work. Next, in dark fantasy, I want to read Shadow's Edge by Brent Weeks. This is a trilogy of dark fantasy, and I've already read the first one, and I want to discover the second book of the trilogy. Here as well, we're gonna encounter assassins, and it's a very violent world. So I'm gonna talk about the first book, obviously, to avoid any spoilers. In the first book, we follow a boy who wants to become an apprentice to the best assassin. I really enjoyed the first book for the characters and for the world building. I thought it was dense and complex and very well written as well. I think if you love J. Kristoff's style, you may as well love Brent Weeks' style. I really want to discover the second book of this series, even if the first one wasn't a 5-star read for me, but it's still a good rating, and I want to discover the second book in this series. Next, and it's more of a thriller, I want to read Dark Matter by Blake Crouch. So this is a science fiction thriller. Here we follow a man that is kidnapped, and when he wakes up, nothing is the same. Like, his life is totally different. His house is different, his wife is not his wife anymore, and his kid, his son, doesn't exist. This novel feels pretty dark and creepy in its own way, and I just can't wait to discover this story. And I haven't watched yet the adaptation. I want to discover the novel first. And last but not least, we have James by Percival Everett. I think this is a powerful choice for the season. This is a literary retelling of Huckleberry Finn by Mark Twain, but told by the perspective of Jim the enslaved man. I like to read thought-provoking books, and I think this one is a very good choice for that. Here, obviously, we're not in supernatural horror. It really shows the real horror of history and slavery. So that's it, everybody. That is my autumn TBR. I think I really have a good list here. It's a good mix of Gothic horror, modern horror, but also Gothic classics. We have dark fantasy, we have thrillers, a bunch of everything that is perfect for autumn in my opinion. Let me know in the comments what is your favorite Gothic read for autumn, because I'd love to add more to my list. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to this new channel. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!